AskReddit. What one mistake ended your career?
Called the HR lady the angel of death to a coworker on chat. HR was in a different state, so anytime they came to town, we all knew it was most likely to lay off people. Angel of death came to get me shortly after.
Didn't happen to me, but I remember a coworker of mine getting fired because he put laxatives in his own lunch bag. Some dickhead kept stealing parts of our lunches. Turned out it was our supervisor.
I was a part-time intern making $9 an hour, USD, and my boss asked if I had any plans for the weekend. I had said I was going to buy a new car, very much old and used as that's what I could afford, and he asked if I was buying a brand new car. My response was that my budget isn't big enough for a new car, and a couple weeks later during my one-year review my manager said they didn't have the work for me and that I was disrespectful for telling the boss I didn't make enough money. At the time I was living comfortably as a college student, just needed different transportation. I tried not to be disrespectful, but apparently I was.
Talked about calm to another employee. They told the manager about it, got fired. The good part is it's illegal, and the idiot created a paper trail around it. They settled out of court for way more than they would have saved by people not talking about comp.
Not me, but my best friend. He found a stash of porn on a network computer that belonged to the boss, then showed it to everyone. Ended up working in a supermarket after that and said half the people there had criminal records.
A guy I knew got fired for sleeping with the boss's daughter. Nothing dodgy, entirely above board. He didn't even know they were related and had never met her before. They met on a night out. He went back to her parents' place and they had sex. No problems, no drama, etc. The next morning they got dressed and she was showing him to the door when her dad, his boss, walked out of the kitchen. I moaned, that's pretty fucked up. They were consenting adults. He had no idea it was his boss's daughter. No significant age difference, she wasn't wasted or anything. She'd never worked at, or AFAK even visited, the company when my friend was there or even met him.
I was the assistant director at a summer camp. One of the very last nights was a sleepover night where all of the campers were there, but not all of the regular day staff. 2 of the counselors were caught drinking beer, and in an attempt to weasel his way out, one of them told the head of the camp that I gave him permission to do so. I most definitely had not. While I didn't get fired on the spot or have my year-end bonus withheld like the other 2, I was told I wouldn't be asked back again for next year, where there had already been talks of me being a full director in the future.
Went on a first date with a girl who turned out to be a horrible person 20 minutes in. I did what I could to get out of it because she was telling stories about crazy things she'd done and was proud of. I didn't pull anything to get out of it, just dodged landmines and asked a ton of questions about her so I could get out of it sooner. Then said I wasn't feeling the connection and I wanted to be honest so we didn't waste each other's time. Found out a week later that she contacted my previous employers because she found my LinkedIn, told them all stories about how I talked a ton of shit about them all. And now I can't get a reference from my previous 3 jobs and people I was on good terms with. All because I went on a date with a psychopath.
Kind of the opposite. I worked at a second-hand electronics store. A dude came in with a 2 pounds to sell. I noticed the serial number was scratched off and thought that was a concern, but processed it anyway. It went through testing, came back greenlit, and I assumed that meant that it was awk. Assumed wrong. Management sacked my ass an hour later. Went home, reevaluated my life choices, and that year went back to college. Got my A-levels, then my degree, and now I've been a software engineer for almost 10 years.
Call center taking a manager call, put the chap on hold and comforted the team member. He is a bit of an arsehole, isn't he? Forgot to also put the call on mute, and he requested a call recording. Whoops. Then while on suspension, I broke my leg and went to my hearing after far too little sleep and too much tramadol. When they asked me what the impact of my actions was, I said it was crippling. Far too pleased with that pun to give a fuck about the outcome. Spent the next few months coasting through bills selling bits and bats. Eventually got into marketing. A win in the long run.